So I joined EASA as part of the Junior Aviation program. Through a 2 years mentoring program, we were actually giving the chance to go through different directorates of the agency and to discover the core business of EASA. I actually met amazing people who gave me a lot of inspiration in a variety of domains. And I learned a lot from highly qualified experts who gave me the motivation to progress along my wishes. And I think in the end, I just got great opportunity that I took since the beginning, and I keep learning every day to continue building up my knowledge and experience in this multicultural environment.
Since I've been a child, my objective was to work either in the space industry or the aviation. Airplane was a mean for me to get connected to the world. And from the very first time, I decided to work in order to join an engineering school. So I have joined a mechanical school, a mechanical engineering school, and I made sure to have trainings to get connected to the airplane industry as soon as possible. So as soon as I could come to continental France, being on my island, I have also developed some connections with airlines that will allow me also to get into contact with some airplane manufacturers in continental France. That was very helpful. So, and once you get into this world, you never leave it, I think, at least.
Well, hello, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ligwina Hananto. We are back at the 4th EU-ASEAN Youth Talk Show. And today the topic sounds really fabulous, isn't it? Women in aviation. How about that? Hi, let me say hi. There's a lot of people in the chat room saying hi. There is, let me get your name properly. Miyaka Coronado, and then YD, Renada Amelia, Alisa Baguino, hello. Imagine if this is actually a meetup, yeah. No, we will have to settle with online for now. This amazing topic, I've been talking about this topic with people from the EU-ASEAN because this is something we all need to look forward to. And I'm not going to be talking here alone. I'm going to invite here an all-girl screen today. Let me start with my co-host today, Dian Saputra from the EU Communication and Feasibility Project. Hi, Dian.
Hi, Lina. How are you? Good to be sharing.
Hi, good to see you. This is supposed to be like sitting together, sipping a cup of coffee or something, yeah?
That would be perfect.
We have to deal with this for now.
Yep.
Go
But
ahead,
it's not
Tian. You have someone important to introduce to
yes,
everybody here today?
I was just gonna say we're gonna have a lot of amazing women, but it's not an all-girl screen just yet because
Just yet.
we also have our EU ambassador to ASEAN joining us today, Ambassador Igor Drismans. Please join us. How are you, Igor?
Hello,
Hi,
good
Igor. I'm
afternoon.
back.
Good to see both of you and all of the other, mostly ladies, I must say.
Yes, and we have a lineup of amazing women representing the civil aviation industry in ASEAN. But before we start with this talk, would you like to share a few words?
Oh, sure. Happy to. Basically, welcome to all of the participants to the 4th EU-ASEAN Youth Talk Show. You know, Diane, it's always a little bit the highlight of my day when I get to meet with the youth. And I'm also happy that these talk shows are becoming a small tradition, especially this year, as 2022 is the year of youth, both in the EU and ASEAN. So basically it shines a light on the importance of youth to build a better future, a greener future, a more inclusive one and a digital one. But turning to the topic of today, women in aviation, I think people have been trying to fly since the 1800s. We've all learned in our history books about the Wilbur and Orville Wright brothers, not sisters, the first ones who demonstrated an airplane capable of powered, sustained flight in 1903. And the work of the Wright brothers inspired an entire generation of flying machine experimenters in Europe and the Americas. And that first flight changed the world, and the industry remain today an integral part of any country's socio-economic growth. Now, for a very, very long time, the world of aviation continued to be dominated by men. Even today, in 2021, only around 6% of the world's pilots were women, and 17% of the women worked in the aviation industry worldwide. And the reality today is that although young women can be inspired to study science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, they will need the determination to overcome prejudice in the transport sector. So I think as a society, we'll need to take steps to challenge the stereotypes, to ensure that the workforce is as gender balanced as possible, and work to improve the working conditions. But what's equally important are role models, very important to attract female talent at an early stage of career development. So I'm very happy that today we will all meet these 5 amazing women from the ASEAN aviation industry, hear their stories, ask questions, and join the discussion, and also learn how the industry is changing and how you can take part in these changes. So I trust the next hour or so will be exciting and informative. I hope you will leave this Zoom room later with new ideas, with inspiration, and who knows, maybe one of you will later go into the aviation industry or fly a plane yourself. So thanks to all of you for joining us today, and my special thanks go to the host and to the speaker of today's webinar. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Igor. Please don't leave yet. This is ASEAN, so we always take pictures in any occasion. Can I also invite all the panelists? I will introduce you to them properly, but before, I would like to get the help from Kak Rizky to have all the panelists on the screen pin as well, so we can have all their face in the screen and take picture with Pak Igor. There should be Angela, Katie, Tian Tong, Sophia, and Captain Windy. Okay, everybody's here. All right, so here we go. In the name of Asian tradition, let's take a photo. Everybody put on a big smile. please help me. I'm just going to count to three. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then the committee will take a picture of us. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. This will be a selfie if it's in real life. Thank you so much, Pa Igor, for taking the time to do an opening remarks for us. We'll take it from
Thank you,
here.
Baigan. See you later.
Thank
Have a good
you.
day.
Thank you so much. All right, our guest today, like I promised, is a bunch of female dominating your screen, and I would like to appreciate all of you for being here. Not just the girls, but also the boys. There's someone who is commenting up there, and I think it's very important. Oh, it's up here somewhere. Wait a minute. Oh, Rahmat Isro, hi. He's saying, I'm interested in the topic today, and I decided to join even though I'm a man myself. So Rahmat Isro from Indonesia, thank you for joining us. This is not a women-only event, men-only event. It's nothing like that at all. We would like to acknowledge the elephant in the room, which is the aviation industry is really dominated by male, and we need to put more women in the front page so we get to know what the industry is like, so we can open more opportunities, doors for people to join the industry, and that's why it's here. But of course, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, you can join and join the conversation. Don't forget to drop your question in the Q&A box instead of in the chat room. Feel free to chat whatever your thoughts on the chat room. Be kind, but the Q&A, I just don't want to miss it. Make sure you put it in the Q&A box so we can we will not miss it. So here we go. I'm going to introduce to you the first of our guests today. She is the first female pilot for AirAsia X. So AirAsia is the first airline in ASEAN to open a pilot program specifically for female. She's here from Thailand. This is Captain Windy. Hi, Captain Windy.
Hi, hello. It's good to
You
be
have
here.
to show your outfit to everybody. It's a t-shirt, but it has all the Captain look on it.
So actually this t-shirt is specially it was for the Cancer Association, if I
Oh,
remember.
nice.
Yeah,
Wow.
so some of the profits will go to the Cancer Foundation.
Thank you for the information. Wonderful, Captain Windy. I love your outfit. So we are going to hear more about the real story of how to become the first female pilot for AirAsia X. But here we go. We're going to invite all the other ones as well. Who's next? Who's next? Do you want to ask her a question first, or do you want me to invite the others first, Dian?
Maybe we can ask Captain Wendy to give a little, to introduce herself a little bit, and then maybe share with us, have you always wanted to be a pilot?
First of all, thank you for having me here. It's my pleasure and honor to be here. And I've been in the aviation industry for since 2004, so it's like 18 years already.
Yes, more than 50 years.
I first started as a cabin crew, but then when I know that Asia they opened a student pilot program, and they are also accepting female candidates, so I applied and fortunately passed all the exams, and I got to be the first student pilot of the Thailand's program. If you know that Asia's group, we have a lot of country in our group, Thailand, Malaysia, Philippines, Indonesia, and also like India, a lot of country in ASEAN, and they also have the student pilot program, and it's innovation of our CEO, the group CEO, Mr. Tony.
Yes.
Which gives all the opportunities, no matter you're like female or male. If you have your dream to be a pilot, to be in the sky, then you can he'll have the support and you can achieve your dream.
I love the
everything is
story.
possible.
You started as a cabin crew, and then you passed through all the exam, become a pilot, and that's the way to do it, isn't it? To join the industry itself. And I think we need to switch to our next guest, who is in the aviation industry as a pilot before. So let's meet with Angela Gavino. Hi, Angela. Angela is with the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines. This is a different breed. Did you want to be a pilot, Angela? Or did you decided to just join the Aviation Authority? This is very interesting. Let us know your story. How did you get started?
It wasn't just wanting to be a pilot. I wanted to be an astronaut when I was a kid.
Yes.
And
the dream of space. I'm right
yeah.
here. I'm right here with you.
And you know what they say, when you aim for the moon, if you fail, you fall on the stars. So aim for being an astronaut. If your grades aren't good enough, be a pilot.
So you were a pilot. You were a pilot for some time. Yes.
For 8
and then
years.
now you're with the Aviation Authority. So it was a switch in career. Do you miss the sky?
Oh no, I still fly for the.
You
for the
still
authority
fly.
right
Oh
now.
wow! So you're still a running captain. Excellent.
Yes.
Flight inspection pilot, civil aviation. This is
This is
How
the
do you say?
nerdier side of flying.
this is an introduction to the industry itself, which I think is very important. A lot of people only see, you know, flying plane pilot, but actually there's a lot of other jobs happening in the aviation industry, isn't it? And we need to get to know
Definitely.
every single one of them. Okay. Who else do we need to talk to, Dion? Should I call from our neighbor?
The next one is also from the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, but she's currently the officer in charge for the Management Information System. Hi, Sophia.
Ah, okay. Is the
Speaking
battle
like,
of who's the
different
nerdiest?
aspects. Yeah, speaking of the different
Hi,
aspects of
Sophia.
the industry, here she is.
Hi, good afternoon. Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Hi,
Good to
Sophia.
see you.
Good to have you. So your
Let
background
us
is
know.
so Sophia,
Let
even
us
like
know.
even more interesting. Like she has a very interesting background. So her background is in diplomacy and urban and regional planning, right, Sophia?
Right.
So how did you end up in the civil aviation industry?
We're always asking that question. How did you end up there?
We're just curious.
Well, basically, I was thinking back then, the fastest way to reach a certain country or place is through air, right? So having an opportunity to work with aviation or the industry per se will widen my perspective. It's not just about the booking system, going to the airport, being on air, and then reaching your destination. So it's really dynamic and highly regulated, but at the same time, my background with urban and regional planning just came in sometime in 2018 when I was working with my colleagues and partners with and stakeholders as well. Then I wanted to make some impact in the industry, like making it more sustainable, planning and designing airports and going around the country, helping out the other airports as well. So it's quite very different from my background, but it's really interesting industry.
That gives light to everybody here. To all of you who are here watching and you are still in university, don't back down from the idea of working in the aviation industry when you are not in pilot school. All right, so we have a lot of jobs available in the aviation industry, and it doesn't stop in just one background. You can be from different backgrounds going into different positions in the aviation industry, and we want to see more women in those positions. Thank you so much, Sophia, for your story there. Very interesting. I need to introduce somebody from Lao PDR. We don't want to miss her. Tien Tong Sopa, she's here, and she is the Deputy Director for Aviation Security Division of the Department of Civil Aviation of Lao. Hi, Tien Tong. You sound so important. Tell me what you do.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having me. It's my great pleasure to be in the show with all amazing women in the aviation industry. And thank you, Veena, for the introduction. Such a good introduction. And to the audience that may be new or unfamiliar with DCA, or the Department of Civil Aviation. So the main task of DCA is to set the national regulation and standards for the operators, like aircraft operators, airport operators, and etc., to follow and to meet the international standards which provide by ICAO, International Civil Aviation Organization. So for my role in the field of security, I basically the main task is to develop the national security standard, certify security personnel, and oversee security functions to ensure that security measures have been like effectively implemented. Yeah, that's pretty much about me.
Thank you, Tentong. That sounds important. A lot of people don't put too much thinking about how important these are, and it's a really important part of the entire flight that we do. I know this is a great timing to talk about aviation, isn't it? A lot of us have been missing what it's like to fly. I'm sure all of you want to travel again as soon as possible with the pandemic slowly being defeated. How do I say? Okay, let's not jinx it. Let's not jinx it. Yeah, hopefully things do get better. Let's not jinx it. But with so many speakers on board, I would like to ask Dian to also introduce someone who is working on a project that is so important. Go ahead, Dian.
Yeah, just like you said earlier, we need more representation of women in the industry, not just in the aviation sector, but in all sectors, really. So this is actually the focus of what our next guest has been doing. And she is working on a project called Women in Aviation Asia project. So Miss Katie Chahal, the founder of the Women in Aviation Asia project. Hi, Katie. How are you?
Hey, Katie.
Hi, thank you. Firstly, I'm Katie, and I founded the Women in Aviation with a team, obviously. It's a collective effort, and I'd like to thank them here if they're on listening. It's a real pleasure, and thank you for the invitation. And I think it's a great way to promote what we're doing, because we really need to create the awareness that gender bias is something that is very prevalent in this specific industry. Aviation is a very, very male-dominated industry. I mean, I read somewhere that it would take, based on current, there's a research done that based on current situation, it will take 200 years before women can be on equal in every sector of the workforce, not just aviation. So that indicates that that women are really still staggering way behind certain industries, especially in aviation. So the concept, the objective is to really, reach out to the youth and to educate and inspire. So hopefully, we can make any positive change, even if it's a small little change. It's a positive change towards the collective change that we try to achieve.
Thank you, Katie. Sounds like a mighty project you're leading right there. I have been binge watching some series streaming, and a lot of them talk about women in the old English days, where the girls are being paraded to be married, and I'm happily married, but that's frightening for me because there's nothing else after that. So to be able to right here sharing screen with you to talk about pushing women through in an industry that is important to you, and you talk about it may take 200 years to achieve equality. Well, let's do our part today and have a great discussion to bring more women into the industry. All right, this is the truth, okay? The aviation industry is considered a male-dominated industry. No debate there, okay? But did you people find it in that experience throughout your career in the aviation industry? Is this really happening in your case? Let's talk to our panelists one by one. Let's start with the pilot, Captain Windy. Did you go through that experience where a lot of people are male and you have to sort of break the glass ceilings throughout your career? Let us know what your experience was like.
First of all, I know that in my company there's a quota for female pilot. We'll have like 10% of the pilot for female
Okay.
pilot. So it's a policy. You have to know that it concerns with your leave because physically we're not the same, right?
Yes.
So sometimes we have to take leave for motherhood, and that requires additional training when you come back to fly. And the additional training is also the cost for the company. So that is something that, as the owner of the airline, you have to consider, because that is the cost. I wouldn't say that this is unfair or whatever, because this is fact, and you have to
Mm.
accept that because we are different. But
Yes.
aside from that, I think there's no discrimination between female and male pilot, because we all fly under the same SOP, or what we call standard operating procedures,
Mm.
as DCA will know, because they are the people who come up with the rule, and we have to follow the rule. No matter which gender you are, you still have to follow the same regulations. So
Thank you for sharing that, Captain Wendy. So it was important that the company has policy about it, so that allows the acceptance. It is the reality. We are built physically differently, and motherhood is there waiting to happen. And so if you have to leave for a while for childbearing reason, you need to come back for certain trainings. Very interesting. Let me go to Angela, for example. How about you, Angela? With your experience, is the aviation industry a male-dominated industry? What was it like for you?
For me, one of the challenges that I went through was not necessarily my environment, but more on the people I was dealing with. I had to
Mm.
accept like a masculine cultural norm and, trying to fit in as one of the boys. But I feel like it it was counterproductive by fitting in as one of the boys, because then it normalized that culture.
Wow. So you have to sort of wiggle it and create your own culture? I love your answer.
Gotta add a little more feminine touch to it.
Love your answer. Okay, Tian Tong, what is it like with you? With security, with procedures, a lot of male in your field of work. How do you lead people there?
Mm.
I hate this question. I'm sorry, but no men will be asked this question. How do you lead women? No man will be asked this question, but we have to ask the uncomfortable questions. What is it like for you, Tian Tong?
Yeah, I would say that for public perception, they would think that in security, they will have like male dominated area, but actually it's true. But working in this industry, I don't know, it might be vary from country to country, but in DCA, we kind of have the number of the female staff more than the number of male staff. So it's quite, I think it'd be different from country to country. And for me, I don't concern much about genders, because both genders are working for the industry, and we should just impress the importance of gender equality, so we can expand like this awareness, not just in DCA, but also in the industry as well. Yeah.
Thank you, Tian Tong. I love the answer. Let's go to Sophia. What's your experience like? And when you're involved in policy making, how does it go in your field?
Well, basically here in CAP, we're following the government guidelines when it comes to gender inequality. We always ensure that policies will be gender neutral. So on a personal note, I haven't really experienced that challenge being a woman in the male-dominated industry, because we value respect regardless of gender. But at the same time, I would agree with Angela a while ago that it's quite subjective to be working in a male-dominated industry,
The
because
bros
at the end
culture,
of
yeah,
the
the
day,
bros
yes, they would
culture.
respect you, but yeah, it's kind of weird, but I mean, at the end of the day, if you respect each other, gender should not be an issue.
Thank you. So to wrap it up with this particular question, what is it like to be in a male-dominated industry like aviation industry? Captain Wendy mentioned about policy in the company really helps. There's a quota for it. There is retraining costs bear by the company because women do have childbearing position. Angela and Sophia mentioned about the bro culture and how they insert feminine influence in there too. While Tientong just basically say, "Oh no, we women have more numbers here in my department." What's your say in this, Katie? Being in this project that is very important. Hearing what the other ladies have been saying, what's your call on this? It's still muted, Katie. I'm sorry. You need to unmute it first.
My apologies. No, I understand and I agree with what all the ladies are saying. It is something that you have to be someone you're sort of trying to be in a very male-dominated world. It is not easy. And like Captain Wendy said, that the companies generally don't have this support structure for females, like having to juggle life, family balance, children, work. So I think this is where a lot of companies are lacking as well. And we will come to this a bit later when I discuss, at length. When you have very few CEOs or leaders in companies, it's very hard to voice out because there is the lack of the voices.
The lens is different. The lens is different, isn't it?
Yeah. So everyone, goes through different experiences. Again, it depends on which role, what kind of position you are, or what kind of job you're doing in the aviation industry. If it is engineering, it's very male dominated. It's very looked at from a very different angle. Admin staff, yes, software skills, women are kind of pretty much accepted. So it really depends, but yes, everyone experiences some level of, I would say, not harassment, but some level of element of difference that, gender, there is always gender bias, no matter what.
Thank you for that answer. A little bit out of topic. You know how we're all very much going through different phase of vaccinations. A doctor friend of mine was mentioning that not enough study is done on the effect of vaccinations to women reproductive system. That's, I think, put in a perspective of how the lens is different, because a lot of the science are done on male side, not on a female side. So in this case, with the aviation industry dominated by men, then the lens is quite different. And that's why I think women needs to participate more, because we are the ones getting affected by it naturally. So that's why this is important. Just in case someone out there is still thinking, why do you have to, think so much about gender bias and the lens? But anyway, the aviation industry changed the way we travel, changed the way we work nowadays. And basically, since the Wright brothers demonstrated the first airline can sustain flight. And that's, I think, is very interesting. What's your say on that, Dian?
Yeah, it's very interesting and how it's changing. And I personally am very excited to also see how many women are in ASEAN, like in the different spots in different areas of civil aviation. And just as you said, it's very important to break the bias, the gender bias. And having, for example, Tientong as the deputy director who's part of the management, who's making decisions. And that gives the gender perspective into the decisions that obviously the organization is making. And we have a question, earlier Captain Wendy talks about the policy about motherhood, we are physically different than men. There's a question from the audience from Dominique Bianca Poma, who asks, in regards to motherhood, how does it affect your career growth? Would you like to answer that?
Career growth. Who do we start with?
I don't know, maybe Captain Wendy. Would you like to answer that?
I think that the question is, if you are a pilot, you have to start from being a first officer or co-pilot first, right? And in order to become a captain like me, you have to have certain amount of flying hours. You have to have at least like 5,000 flying hours to be able to be a candidate to go through the examination to become a captain, to be promoted. So let's say if you decide to get married and have kid, right? So that means you have to be absent from flying for at least like a year. And as a regulation, DCA will know that a pilot is limited to fly 1,000 hours per year. That is the maximum, but we don't actually fly that much. Like for me, it takes me 10 years to have 5,000 flying hours. So let's say you are absent like 1 year, you're missing like 500 hours already. So will that affect your promotion? Yes, definitely.
Yes.
So some will have the plan in life to, you know, become a captain first and then think about having children later. But like I say, physically we are different. Like the older you get, the more difficult you'll be to have kids, right? So that is your choice of life. Like you are putting your family first or you're putting your career first. So I think that's not only about being female. It applies to everything, every gender. What is your priority in life? What you want to achieve in life? What is your goal? What do you want to see yourself in like 5, 10 years or 20 years from now? So that is your goal, your life goal plan. But if to answer the question, yes, it will affect, but the the effects will come after your decision making, the plan for your life. So I'm not saying that it because you're male or female, but your own decision individually. Thank you.
Yes, thank you,
That's
Captain
such a
Wendy.
powerful answer, Captain Windy. I like that, Dian.
And then, like,
So it's
I want
important to get to know ourselves first, yeah? What do we
yeah,
want in life? And then pursue it and also face the consequences of that plan. That's right. Okay, go
it's
ahead,
all
Dian.
about making choices. So I still want to talk about this breaking the bias. So Katie earlier also, when you summarized the whole thing, you were saying that it also depends on which sector women are working in the aviation. Then probably they experience different kind of culture. So there's a question here from the audience, which I think is also interesting. How do you overcome the prejudice that aviation in general and a pilot job in particular are only suitable for men? How would you overcome that, and how do you fulfill your dreams in aviation? This question is from Huyn Tran Hui. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. But yeah, so maybe Angela, would you like to answer that question?
Sure. To answer the question, I feel like, as bad as it sounds, women, or in my case, I feel like you have to prove yourself a little more just to make that mark, just to give that exact quality of work that your colleague is giving. So I feel like by always being on your toes, by being on point with all your information and your job, I feel like that's the only way to, or one of the ways to
Yeah. Hello, Angela. Yes.
You were cut out there a little bit.
Yeah, we lost you a little bit there.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Should I repeat my answer?
maybe just the second part, if you can repeat that.
Yes. Sorry, can you go back to the question? I'm sorry.
The question is like, how do you overcome the prejudice in the aviation in general and pilot job in particular? The prejudice that, like, it's a job that's just like for men.
I feel like you have to prove yourself a little more by being sharp on your toes, by doing an extra round of readings. I'm sure Captain Windy would agree that, you know, you have to be sharper than the man next to you, just to prove that, you know, we're equal.
Do you find that in the different sector of the aviation, like Tianfang, do you find that in your work as well? Do you feel like to get where you are, do you feel like you need to prove yourself more than your male counterparts?
Yeah, at the early stage of my career, that I would say I've experienced some of that, because, you know, when you get into the industry where they are mostly men, and for my work, I have to, I'm an inspector, so I have to check whether the operator is comply with the regulations. So we have to detect some of the errors or something like that. So you might get challenged by the operator from time to time, whether you good enough or you capable, you have the capability to, like, how can I say, to kind of not that fight with them, but to prove that you have knowledge, and you have your regulation in hand, and you have to be like a little bit like persuasive, so to and you have to have like communication skill to just negotiate or talk to the man, to explain and to have them understand your position. And I agree with Angela and Windy that we have to prove ourselves and just believe in yourself. That I love this saying that it begins and it ends with your self-belief. So something in your mind might tell you that you not belong here, but you have to keep believing yourself and prove and try to improve yourself, that to prove that you can be that, in that position. Yeah.
That is such a great answer, Tianfang. Thank you. I love the message of believing in yourself, and maybe this is also where the part of women needing to support other women, to, you know, together we can strengthen each other. And so I just want to, like, you know, invite all the other audience, if you have any other questions that you want to ask the our speakers here, please drop it in the Q&A section. And as we wait for more questions, Rina, maybe we need to talk more about the industry in general. So as the world is becoming more dependent on the industry for connectivity and economic growth, we were just talking about it earlier before the event starts, like how basically the world coming to a standstill, like for the past 2 years, how it affects the industry and the economic growth, and you know, like obviously like our desire to travel, needs for holidays.
Soon, Dian. Take your time, soon.
Yes, okay. But on the other side, we also need to start thinking about making the industry more environmentally friendly. And right now, so I'm gonna do a little plug from the EU now, from the EU side. So the EU has 2 projects in ASEAN that are working particularly on this issue. And Sophia has the experience of working with both these projects, with both the ARISE Civil Aviation and also the EU-CCC Corsia. So tell us a little bit about your experience working on the environmental management and also like the environmental aspect of the industry.
Thanks, Jen, for your question. Let me go back to the ARISE Plus first. All right. So in 2019, during the ARISE Plus meeting, our office, the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, volunteered in the international airport, one of our airports in the Philippines, to be part of the implementation adaptation of the environment management system. It's one of the ISO certification mitigation. It's literally a program wherein we're able to adopt that project so that one of our airports will be more environmentally sustainable and friendly. So right now we're just waiting for the third-party certification that will be sometime the first quarter of this year, probably this first half of 2022 to be certified. And everything happened virtually because 2020, when we started the program, pandemic came in, everything was in shock, so we don't know what to do, but we need to keep the project ongoing. So when everything was virtually virtually done. So on the other side of the coin, with regard to the carbon offsetting and reduction scheme for international aviation, the CAAP as well in 2018 volunteered in the particular program wherein we measure the carbon emission from the participating airlines. So we have five. All of these five airline operators are flying internationally. So they are requested and they have actually to comply with the reporting, monitoring, and verification of these emissions. So in the future, because aviation industry in particular is very dynamic, a lot of projects are keep on popping up, and then we're working another project in order to mitigate this carbon emission, and probably will be able to use the same in other climate change adaptation projects, not just in the country, but probably in the region.
Mhm. Mhm.
Sophia, that's very interesting. I always love the story of collaboration between EU and ASEAN. That sort of keeps the world rolling in the middle of the pandemic when we feel like we're kept to a standstill. So it's nice to hear stories like that. I actually have a question to Katie. What are actually the numbers, if you have, about women in aviation in ASEAN particularly? How low is it? Show me the number. I'm like afraid to ask this question.
This is a very difficult question to answer. And the reason being, there is insufficient data on the total number of women in ASEAN, in Asia as a whole, because very, very few studies or surveys have been done. We can only kind of extrapolate from numbers that studies have been done based in the US. I mean, if you look at between Asia and ASEAN, being part of Asia, we are below average, very much below average. In terms of pilots, yes, there have been way more studies, so we have better numbers to judge where women stand in terms of flying careers, pilot careers. So, like for example, in India, like Captain Wendy says, it's one of the highest. Reason being, they don't have any pay biases. So people are very much into, wanting to be equal to their male counterparts. Worldwide, we only got about 5% pilots. Worldwide, women in aviation is approximately 17%. If you talk about pilots alone, Thailand is about 2% at the most, Singapore about 1%. But then again, these numbers also depends, they are proportional to their population as well. So we have to take that factor into consideration. But I would say that in a nutshell, for all the different jobs in aviation, which not necessarily just being pilots or cabin crew, we are way below average. It's very hard to pinpoint a number because this is where we lack studies, and I think this is something that efforts need to be stepped up to, conduct research and surveys to really see where we stand, so that the necessary steps can be taken to enhance the numbers. It's obviously requires resources, time, effort. So, and it's something that needs to be of importance. A value has to be placed on the importance of it for such studies to be carried out. So, we can identify where the shortcomings are and, follow up from there. So that's about basically what we can say as far as ASEAN, women in aviation in ASEAN is concerned. But yes, visibly, we see very few. Where do we see most numbers? Flight attendants, because of their soft skills. And traditionally, women has been, related and to serving, to the motherly care and caring. So it's this is
when
why
in fact flight attendant is not just that, right, Katie? Flight attendant is basically a lot of safety involved in it in case the plane goes into an accident or something like that. Yeah.
They have to go
So
through a lot
it's
of
being
training.
minuscule to the service only
Yes.
when it's not.
Yes, unfortunately, that's the way it's been seen, that they are just serving passengers, but they don't see the training they have to go through, the security, the safety. There's just so much involved. But it is something that is also very exciting for young females to be flight attendants, because let's face it, we all love traveling. So it's an opportunity for them to also travel, see the world. So it is something that, will go on. And I think this is it's a career that is, I think, great for females and males who want to do it. And but unfortunately, the numbers have come down because of COVID. We thought we were doing, we've regressed in terms of the numbers because of COVID. A lot of people have gotten laid off, including females. So that number has actually come down, but we are positive that as things get back to normal, I think people will want to start traveling even more now because they've been so stuck. Me, for one, I can't wait to get on a plane and go somewhere. So we hope that the numbers will go back up, and with more efforts, we hope to see increased number of women in aviation as a whole.
Okay, then it has to come down to this question: what are the barriers for women to enter the aviation industry?
Okay, barriers, there are a whole bunch, but we believe that the biggest barrier is culture. Male-dominated culture, society culture. It goes back to, like I said, it's sort of like a scale. Here you have the society, the family, the children, and then this side you have the aviation industry. There's a lot of disconnect there at this point, simply because the family structure and society still believes that aviation jobs, especially engineering, especially maintenance, repairs and stuff, is still very male dominated. And so what happens is, as a result, very few females go into aviation courses. And when that happens, the pool available for companies to hire is very small. And, I'm sure in an interview for 50 people who apply, probably 2 are females whose resumes are received, because the pool is very small. And like I say, it's a dominoes effect. So they don't go into it. Companies can't hire them because there's not available or not many. And again, being a mother, how do you want to take your career? Do you want to just focus on your career alone and not the family? How do you juggle? And also, like I said, that the companies don't have that support structure for females to sort of come on board and say, yes, I'm going to stick around and, move up the ladder, take positions in
go through the 10,000 hours.
Yeah, so it's like a little circle that you have to keep going around in. And like I said, if there's only like one or few companies in the US, it's only 3% of aviation companies whose CEOs are females. So in Asia, we are really, very, very low there. So until we have that number and that voice, it's going to be very difficult. So we feel, it's not just my take, but, we feel that educating kids and the youth and families is the key, the ignition point. So that the boys will grow up respecting that a girl, and a female tomorrow can do the same job. Once they have that respect for each other, sorry, I like to throw my hands around, but it's until that mutual respect is not achieved, it'll be very hard. So when they grow up understanding that, hey, cars is not just for boys, girls can play cars too, that mutual respect will be there, and that it will, snowball onto their next phase of life, and then the next phase of life. So it's a whole process. And we feel that, of course, the current situation, that will take a long time for it to evolve. But I think it would be nice if companies put in place some, sort of a process to encourage more females to be a part of this. That would definitely help, in the long run.
Thank you, Katie. That's a very powerful answer. So we have culture, we have the lifestyle. When you travel so much, the expectation of mothers to be, caring for her family at home is kind of difficult in any profession when the mother is traveling a lot. So that's another issue. The lifestyle itself, policy that is available in different airlines will also affect how women will be able to adjust to aviation industry and so many others. But I think if we can help a little bit, we'll be showing the role models for women to look up to and say, hey, she's doing that. I would love to be able to do that. Here's a little example. My young daughter, she's 10 years old. My youngest is 10 years old, and she loves traveling by plane. But she doesn't see the pilot, unfortunately, Wendy, Angela. So she sees the cabin crew. So she, growing up, she wants to be a cabin crew. And my initial reaction was, is it safe enough for her? Is the environment safe enough for her? My mother instinct immediately say, is this a safe environment for a girl to be around? So that's the kind of difficulties people are going through when we want to cut the barriers of women going into aviation. So going to that, Dian, we need to ask these ladies, who do they look up to that allow them to pursue career in aviation? Go ahead, Dian.
Yes, exactly. So when I grew up, when I was small, I wanted to be a pilot because so my dad was working in the aviation industry. And so my role model, I was looking at this Amelia Earhart books about her. And she looks really cool, and that was really inspiring. But how about you? Who do you? And then I got sidetracked by Star Wars, and that's the end of it.
And then we want to go to the space.
Exactly. And then I wanted to go to space, but it's not real. But so that kind of distracts me. But you all obviously are doing much better than I did. So tell me, who was your inspiration? Do you have a role model when you're growing up, or what makes you want to go into the civil aviation industry?
We start with Captain Wendy. I think it's important to hear more from your side of the story. What is it like growing up, and who's your role model to become someone in aviation industry?
Actually, I don't have a role model. I just my house is quite near the airport, so I see airplane coming here now. So I always remember that I wanted to be in the plane one day, fly somewhere. So as soon as my dad, he brought me, the first country I went to was Singapore. And I was so excited to be in the plane, and the stewardess was taking really good care of me, because at that time I was 7 or 8 years old, like that. So I was actually impressed by her service, and it's why I want to be a cabin crew. It was my dream job, but reality and dream is something that is not always the same. I first joined Qatar Airways as a cabin crew. I was working in Doha, and I remember after I complete the training, my first on-job training was flying from Doha to Amman in Jordan. And while I was sitting there on a jump seat next to the door, I was crying because this dream job doesn't fulfill anything that I ever wanted to be. It was not actually what I expect. You always think that cabin crew is traveling around the world dressed in beautiful uniform, right? But actually the job is quite tough. And
Of course.
as a junior cabin crew, you will always get picked by the senior. And yeah, I think it happens in every culture, I think. So and I remember, when you were like 20 years old, you have like very high ego in yourself, like you think that if you graduate with honor, like I did have my honor with my bachelor and master degree, and I think that just doing this service job where you have to pick me like this. I know a lot of things. I can speak like 4 languages, but you can't like that. But my ego is too high to do the
Mm.
job. So I suffer a lot. And my
But
second
look at you
flight,
now. You're a captain.
yeah. So the second flight, I got a very nice purser, the in-flight manager. She was very nice to me, and she said, "Hey, it's your second flight, right? Have you been in the cockpit yet?" I said, "No, I never seen the cockpit before." As you're on job training, you get to see inside the cockpit, so you know what they were doing inside the cockpit. So the moment I entered the cockpit, I felt goosebump.
Mm.
Actually, literally, I felt goosebump, and I don't know why,
Howling.
but yeah, but I just feel that this is the place that I belong, here in the cockpit, not back
Wow.
there in the cabin. But back in those days, like 20 years, almost 20 years ago, I have no idea how I can be inside that cockpit. To
Mm.
be a pilot for female candidates especially in Thailand, is
Mm.
so out of the picture, because our national carrier airline accept only male candidates.
Mm.
They don't accept female at all.
Mm.
And I still don't know how to get there, but there's just a feeling inside me that I should be here, not there. And after that flight, I decided to resign as a cabin crew. I quit the job because if it's not fulfilling me, if I have to stay one more day and suffer, life's too short to do that. I think I have better ways. I can find other things in life to do. But luckily, when I come back to Thailand, and I know that Asia is opening the uh, student pilot program, I just apply without hesitation. I didn't even know what they are going to test me, but I just want to know that if I have to prepare myself for the next exam, I would know what I need to do. But luckily, I passed the first exam, and then so on, so on. I became the first pilot, student pilot for the program. So that's about me. I don't have any inspiration or role model at all, but I come here because of my passion. The only passion in flying, the only passion in planes and aviation. That's all. Because I
Thank you,
don't have
Captain
any
Winnie.
word in this. Thank
That's
you.
powerful answer. I love the answer. So Dian, you have goosebumps when you enter the cockpit.
Yes, so maybe I would like to ask the other panelists here. How about you, Tian Tong? Who's your role model? Like, who inspired you to join the civil aviation industry?
Or if you don't have that, what kind of calling did you have to enter
Yes.
the aviation industry? Remember, these are
Um,
for the girls out there wanting to join the aviation industry.
yeah, I don't really have a role model, but my passion in environmental management lead me here. Because my background actually, my major is environmental engineering. So now people would ask me, how come you graduate from like environmental engineering? How can you end up in this aviation industry? So that time it was they recruit people to work in aerodrome division, and my thought was, oh yeah, if I can work with the some like airport construction projects so that I can oversee environmental management of the project. That would be good. That would be a very good opportunity. And yeah, that was the first year that I worked with DCA. I joined Aerodrome and Security Division before later they split the division. So I would say my passion in environmental protection leads me here, and I'm still working on and off, overseeing the construction project of the DCA as well, as a project assistant or like environmental officer, environmental supervisor. Yeah. So I'm now saying here that it's not just you graduate from pilot school, as we now mentioned, that you have
Yes.
that you can end up in this industry. There are many like diverse career opportunity industry. Some careers like pilots or cabin crew or air traffic controllers, of course, they have to have like specific trainings and certification. But some other careers, it requires only academic degree, like in law, civil engineering, mechanical engineering, business management. It's actually depending on whether you want to fly an aircraft, help people, or work with plane engine, or perhaps work with like work on airport infrastructure. But I'm sure that there will be some job that meet your career goal in this industry.
Wonderful, Tien Tong. Again, this is like an invitation for all of you. If you're interested in aviation industry, there are different pathways toward different positions in different fields in the aviation industry, whether it's in cabin crew or as a pilot or someone in management positions, engineering positions like Katie was mentioning. There are different routes to it. But again, like I was saying, I think as a girl, I remember having a role model is very important. Maybe you don't realize that you are now the role model for girls to enter the aviation industry. And I think that's very important. So thank you for your answer, Tien Tong and Captain Windy. Dian, how do we go about this now?
I have a question. Can I just ask my question first?
Sure, go ahead.
Angela, so you're earlier you are a pilot, but you're a flight inspection pilot. So can you share the difference with, like, so what is the flight inspection pilot, and how is it different from and your journey, and what inspires you to become what you are right now?
Are you ready for some nerd talk?
Yes.
Okay, so you know how like in all the airports, Captain Wendy's familiar that we have navigational aids and visual aids. We have, along with the air traffic routes and your airways. So my job is to fly and calibrate and make sure like your landing, your instrument landing system, your landing lights are calibrated, and it will get you on that runway, that the airway is exactly on the radial it says it's on. And I fly all the procedures that haven't been published and make sure that like there's no terrain, everything is where it's supposed to be.
Ah, interesting. So do you know about this, Rina?
Who knew?
So what inspired
I have no idea.
you?
Nerd talk, go ahead. Explain more. This is very
What
interesting.
inspired you to do what you do? You have a role model?
I was very fortunate. My grandparents on both sides of my family, one side worked in aviation, though not as a pilot or not as a flight attendant. They worked as a ground crew in the US. And then my grandparent and uncle here in the Philippines, they worked for one of our local airlines. And he ended up becoming one of the vice presidents for that airline. So like every summer they'd bring me to the airport and I just like, like being on the ramp and passing through the airport and just their office, having that view, it, as cheesy as it sounds, it felt like home. And I would not have imagined doing anything else. I knew I didn't want to. I knew I didn't want to have a 9-to-5 job. Like I love flying at night. I love, just it's so rewarding seeing the sunset, like right in front of your cockpit, and it makes up for everything that you went through during training.
Okay, well, thank you. That's a very beautiful, like that brings back all the things that I dreamed about. But okay.
Yeah. Don't
We can
forget
move
to
on.
ask Sophia.
Yes, no, I didn't forget. Sophia, tell me, who inspired you? Because you like diving, but you're working with the in the civil aviation.
All right, I was diving before joining the civil aviation. It's like two worlds very different. But who inspired me to be in the aviation industry? Probably it was my eldest brother, who works as well in the industry. So as well as with my former boss. So he said, I could still remember his dialogue. Do you want to be part of the aviation industry? See for yourself if it's something that excites you, challenges you, and then okay, I said okay, I'll try. And then one day I was already processing my papers, joining the agency. It's like in a snap, I was already in the NCAAP. It's like something that is very dynamic, that really wanted to see what's happening in the background. Like in the airports, you want to see how the airports are being constructed. And I would agree with Captain Angela a while ago that flying at night is really, really, really feels eccentric. It would make you feel cheesy at some point, but I don't know, it feels good traveling via air. That's why I really wanted to join the aviation.
I agree with you, and I miss the traveling. Yeah. Like I keep whining. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hang in there, Dian. It's gonna happen. If you guys have noticed, I think a lot of the restrictions have been lift up, so we are now more likely to travel. It's Ramadan right now in Indonesia, especially. We will be traveling in the next 3-4 weeks. Most people will be traveling home to visit family. So yes, a lot of people will be traveling. I plan to visit Bali in May. Hopefully that will happen. I'm gonna boast about it to the end. But for now, let's have a question from the audience to Katie. I'm not gonna let Katie just sit there and do nothing. I'm gonna ask the question. Katie, here's a difficult question. Do you feel there's a gender pay gap in the aviation industry, and what steps can be taken to address this kind of issue? Because I'm sure it's everywhere in any industry, even in sports. I was watching something last night with Hassan Minhaj asking question to the United States soccer team. There's a wide gender gap there, and Hassan was complaining, you guys are not good enough, and the girls were like, we're 4-time gold medalists. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is so crazy. What is it like in the aviation industry? I'm asking this question with fear.
Yes, there's definitely, pay inequality. And that's probably also one of the reasons why, women tend to shy away. And I think this is in the hands of women themselves. Now, if we feel that the companies should stick to certain policies, and like Captain Wendy says, if you have a policy or a pay scale or a pay grade, it shouldn't matter what gender you are. So it is really, at the discretion of the companies to ensure, not discretion that they can pay what they want. If it's females, you pay less. But females also must accept that they are equal and demand for the pay that you should be getting, not any lesser. So because it is your right to be doing the same job, you'll be doing the exact same work, and you shouldn't shortchange yourself any lesser because you're a female. But it is, like I said, it is very important for companies to put a stop to this pay discrepancies between male and females doing the same jobs. That is the starting point. And I think if that can be eliminated, which I think it slowly is, because I think they're realizing that, they can't be so biased towards females in doing the same role. But it is something that will still have to go through a process for companies to come to accept and understand that they do need to pay everyone equal. And you will see the numbers will grow, because when they realize that the companies themselves are not going to show any biasness towards their gender, you feel, hey, I'm being accepted as who I am and as equal. So I think this is the key reason why a lot of females also stay away, because or shy away rather, because they know that their pay is going to be a lot lower doing the same job. It's a little discouraging. So hopefully we can change that, and it is changing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, here's another question. There's a question from Alison. What advice would you give to women interested in aviation? Maybe, Angela, would you like to answer that?
I feel like your heart has to be in it at first. You really have to be set on what you want to do, why you want to do it, and are you willing to go through, the obstacles that are. Speaking from the pilot side, training isn't easy. The studying is no joke. And so if you say yes to all of those, I feel like your determination would, power you through any of the obstacles or hardships.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I hope that answers your question, and I think hopefully it inspires all our audience today. And maybe we should start playing the quiz, Weena. Should we do that?
All right, let's get to the quiz. Yes. We have a Kahoot quiz. How will you be picking the winners, Dian?
There will be a leaderboard going on as we play, and then like the first 3 winners, the top of the leaderboards will be the winner. So Elita will share the link, and okay, here it is.
Okay, so if you can go to Kahoot, enter the pin. When you enter, please put your real name, because otherwise we won't be able to identify who you are if you win, unless you want to just join for the game and not identified as winners. In the game, we will be able to find the top 3 winners, and you will receive the hampers. Is that going to be the famous hampers from EU-ASEAN? Yes, I got that last week, and I love the t-shirt, I love the teddy bear, and I love the tumbler. So there you go, you can have that too. Go ahead, guys, join Kahoot and enter the pin in your Kahoot, and then we can start the game.
We have
Shining Frog and Amusing Giraffe. Yeah, that's right, we can't identify the names there. So make sure when you end the game, screenshot your name. Yeah, screenshot your name, and then you can send it to the committee, and we can identify you as Funny Unicorn or Amusing Giraffe or Cute Pigeon. Sorry, I forgot this one. It's a different game where you put your real name. Here, you just get fancy name like a Quick Shark or Shining Frog.
Oh, actually, top 10 winners.
Oh,
so we have
it's
more
than 3. They have more hampers today, guys.
We have 10 winners. So you need to screenshot your name and send it to us through email eu-asean@landomills.com, so you can see the email address in the chat box.
Okay, let me remind you, when you finish, you need to, or right now, you can screenshot your name. Remember to screenshot your name to identify that you are the snowy lobster or the amusing giraffe or the Dr. Rooster or the proud goat. That's who you are. If you're one of the winners, you can send the screenshot of your name from Kahoot. Send it through email to EU-ASEAN@landel, that's what 2L-mills, another 2L.com. See it in the chat room. Can you please save that email address and send your screenshot of your name, because you may be eligible when you win the game. Oh, here we go. We have 57, 58. More people are joining from 145 people in the room. We already have 59 joining us. Royal Sphinx, 60.
Joyful alpaca.
Goofy Mouse, Joyful Alpaca, Giving Lemming. I love the name. Smooth Piranha. Kimnia is claiming all the nicknames are taken. Oh, sorry, Kimnia. Oh, you cannot even join the game, so it's full? Okay, sorry about that.
No, I think you should be able to. Can you try it again? Use a different email.
Bright Alpaca. There's Joyful Alpaca and Bright Alpaca. There you go.
Yeah.
Groovy Mouse and Groovy Gecko. They keep coming up with new names.
I guess there's endless combination possibility.
That's
Epic
true.
chicken.
Epic Kitchen. Okay, here we go.
All right,
We're
let's
going to start,
start.
guys. Let's do this. Fourth
Go ahead,
EU-ASEAN Youth Talk Show, Women in Aviation. 3, 2, 1, let's go. This is the quiz. How many EU member states are there? Oh no. How many? 25, 26, 27, or 28? What's the answer?
2, 1.
Boing. The answer is
Majestic Finch leads on the first question.
it's 27.
How many golden stars? There you go. Make up the
We
circle.
can count.
Right, count it, count it. You can count this. So is it 9, 10, 11, or 12?
Okay, you need your glasses, Dian. You want to count it, you need your glasses.
Nuh-uh.
No, you're still refusing to wear her glasses. The answer is 12. Thank you. 66 people answered it
Let's
correctly.
see who's leading. Majestic
Majestic
Finch is still
Finch.
leading.
Dian, you want to read the next one?
How many official languages do you have? Is it 23, 22, 25, or 24?
Wow. Official languages?
Yep.
That many. I don't think ASEAN has that many.
Well, depends if you want to count the dialects.
No, I mean official language.
Official languages, yeah, no.
37 people answered, 24. Oh,
Knowing
Knowing
Leopard.
Leopard is now number 1.
Majestic
What happened to
Finch?
Finch?
You just
Yes.
follow the leaderboard.
Okay, when is Europe Day celebrated every year? We need to know this one. What day is Europe Day? 9, 11, 13, or 15 of May? So it's next month.
It's coming up soon. So make sure to follow our social media. We'll have lots of like trivia information as well. 9 to
Already
10.
on 9 of May, 42 people are answering this correctly. Thank you for joining. Oh, the giraffe is now on top leading.
True or false?
True or
In
false?
2019, only approximately 5% of pilots in the world were women. Is that true or false?
That looks so bold. I love the picture.
True.
That is true. Which means after the pandemic, the number may fall. So,
Gentle
Gentle
Giraffe
Giraffe is
remains
leading.
on the top.
more question. What is the name of the EU-funded project that aims to enhance connectivity and cooperation in transportation?
Is it the air, the ARISE Plus Geographic Indication, or ARISE Plus Civil Aviation, or the ASEAN EU Comprehensive Air Transport Agreement? Which one is it? Okay, and ARISE Plus Civil Aviation. 44 people answered
ARISE
this right.
Plus Civil Aviation. All right.
Let's see who's leading. Wing Dog, a new player
We have a
now.
new leader.
New
Leaderboard. We
leader.
have a new leaderboard.
Go ahead, Win. True or false?
The AA-CATA is the world's first block-to-block air transport agreement and will bolster connectivity and economic development. True or false? You gotta agree, right? How can you disagree? Yes, Charis, thank you for joining the conversation. Hi, Angie Afrida. She's also saying true. The answer is true. 59 people accept the answer as true. We have more questions?
Wing Dog is still reading. Yes, we do have more questions. Which country in ASEAN is currently in the early stages of implementation of the environmental management system? Is it Brunei Darussalam in Cambodia? Is it Laos PDR in Thailand? Is it Indonesia and the Philippines? Or Malaysia and Vietnam? And the answer is, find out.
Come on, guys, you know this one. You know this one.
We talked about this earlier. It's Laos PDR and
it's
Thailand.
Laos and Thailand. I answered it wrong as well. I thought it was Indonesia and Philippines.
45 people answered it right. Gentle Giraffe is back. Okay, next one.
The international airport in the Philippines has successfully implemented EMS with the support of ARISE Civil Aviation. Which one? It was in the conversation, guys. Gangs.
It's something that Sophia talked about earlier. Is it Ninoy Aquino? Is it Subic Bay? Is it Iloilo? Or is it Makassar?
Cebu or Subic Bay? Iloilo International Airport. Thank you.
45 people answered it right. And Irish, thank you for joining as well. For answering.
BOA is taking over suddenly.
Yeah.
True or
Last
false?
question.
ASEAN is embarking on the development of an ASEAN single aviation market, ASAM. Is it true or false? I don't know this one. What gave you the impression it's false, Angie? It's true. Must be because of the acronym ASAM. So here we go. Amusing giraffe, gentle giraffe.
The first
And
winner
the
is
BOA. Oh, these are the three. What happened to the other four and five? Golden Snake. Do we have the names of the winners? Okay, Elita, can you help with the names of the 10 who win?
Other 7?
Yeah, because we only got 3 of them just now. 2 giraffes and a boa. But the other 7, we don't know yet. So at least for all 3 of you, oh, you have it. You have the list. Okay. So
Yeah.
for 3 of you who have won, 10 of you who have won, please screenshot your name of your fancy animal name from Kahoot and send it the screenshot to EU-ASEAN@landellmills.com. That would be very helpful, and you will receive a package from EU-ASEAN. I've received the hampers. It's very nice.
Yes. And so
Okay,
the other
yeah.
7, basically all 10, the committee has the list of names of the top 10 winners. So if you don't see your name, like I know there's only 3 of the leaderboard shown in the leaderboards, but you'll receive an email from the committee that will announce you as a winner, and you'll get your hampers. So go ahead, Win.
Okay, so with the end of the Kahoot session, I would like to invite all our panelists to come back and join us in the main screen with the comedy. Please help us with that. Thank you. We have Captain Wendy, Sophia, Tian Tong, Angela, and Katie. But before we go, I would like to invite all of you one by one to send us with your last words for the audience in regard to our topic here, women in aviation. As usual, let's start with the captain. Captain, what would be your last word about women in aviation to end our session today?
I would say it doesn't matter if you're female or male, woman or man. If you have, your passion, just go for it. it doesn't mean you have to be in aviation or in any field. Just the most important thing is that you have to know yourself first, know what you want to do, and know what is best for you, and try in every way to pursue your passion. But it's okay if you don't have any passion at all, because a lot of people that I know, they don't even know themselves or have the passion. But as long as you know what you're doing is not hurting yourself or hurting the other people around you, and it contributes to your family or your community, just go and do something that is good for yourself and good for other people. That's all that that's all I have to say, no matter what gender you are. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Let's get to Sophia. I'm not going to let you be the last one today, Sophia. What would be your final words for the women in aviation topic to end our session today?
All right, just do it, regardless of your gender, regardless if you think you can or cannot. Just do it, and eventually you will along the line, or you will meet people who will support you, who will be walk you hand in hand and guide you whatever it takes. I mean, regardless if it's in aviation or whatever dreams or goals that you have in life. So just do it.
Thank you, Sophia. Lovely. Tian Tong, your turn.
And so the girls and women out there, so if the civil aviation is your calling, I would like to encourage you to first believe in yourself, prepare and equip yourself with some skills, and also allow yourself to be exposed to some opportunities. And whatever you want it to be, just put your mind to it. Everything is possible.
Thank you so much, Tian Tong. Angela, your call.
I want to speak directly to our women. I want you to find your role model. I after being around all these women today, I feel like getting a glimpse career in aviation, finding a role model and finding your path on what your calling would be. And I feel like by doing what you set your heart out to do, by giving it your 100%, there's no way that you wouldn't succeed.
Thank you so much, Angela. Katie, with your Women in Aviation project, what would be your final words for these ladies?
Okay. You know, the aviation industry is an industry that is constantly changing. You know, there's so much of innovation, and it's just the technology involved in it is constantly and changing at a very fast pace. The industry needs females simply because we females, we're different. We can bring in different perspective of things and contribute towards the enhancing the innovation. So I feel it is very important that the balance of perspectives and enhancing innovation in the industry be taken to a different level altogether. So just don't let your gender dampen your goals. If that is what you really want to do, go for it, because hard work is hard work. It doesn't matter, what you choose to do in your life. So don't let, I saw one of the questions or one of the comments saying that you have to work twice as hard just to please. Don't let that dampen it, because, if that's what you want, go for it. And it's very important that we educate the society about respecting each other in your roles. That's my take, guys.
Thank you, Wendy, Sophia, Tian Tong, Angela, and Katie. Diane will come up with a summary. I'm putting the pressure on her. But let me show you from this conversation, I think not just women, all the men will also can learn that you need to understand who you are, get to know yourself. That's, I think, the main message from Captain Wendy. And then from Sophia, we learned that if you pursue what you want to do, you just go for it. You will meet people who are helping you along the way in that industry. Get a mentor, or a mentor will find you, and this other person will help you through. The third one, I think, from Tien Tong is the encouragement to invite people into the industry. I think that's very important. From Angela, she talked about having a role model, someone to look up to, be that person who will open the doors. And with Katie, a reminder of how the aviation industry in particular, but I think it resonates with all other industries out there. Every single industry needs a female presence. Why? Because we are built different, and if we can contribute more, everybody benefits from it. Diane, go ahead.
Yes, I think you've summarized it perfectly, Win.
Okay, that's it then. That's the summary. Sorry about that.
No, but that's completely true. I mean, there's been some question why we need to worry about women representation, and I think, like our panelists here today share some of the barriers they face, and the culture, and how women still have to work twice as hard. And while Katie says, it doesn't matter if you have to work twice as hard, if that's your passion, go ahead and do it. But I think when we have more women in an industry, not just civil aviation, but any industry, I mean, we don't need that perspective that women have to prove themselves first to be accepted. I think this is some of the understanding that maybe working together with having more women, we can break these biases, and we can all just be, we can all be measured by merit, not, our gender does not need to account for that. And we are built differently physically, but again, that also shouldn't become like a KPI, or what becomes a barrier in our career or in stopping you in what you want to do. Again, Captain Wendy earlier in the talk says it's all about choices. And I think this is a choice that needs to be made both by men or women, because when you're having a family, like these kids, they don't come out of, they don't hatch from eggs, they come from two people, both, from both genders. So I think it's the responsibility for both, but it's something to discuss. And we just want to, if you want to hear more about, we're going to have these talks regularly. So make sure to follow our social media. We are on Instagram, on Twitter, and on Facebook. It's at EU in ASEAN. And we also have our weekly quizzes. So if you didn't win today, if you're not part of the 10 winners and you're curious about these hampers that Wina has been bragging about, you can also, you can join the weekly quizzes and also have an opportunity to win it. With that, I think we're ready to close. I want to personally thank all our speakers today. You guys have been really inspiring. I've learned a lot from you, and I hope everyone in our audience today learned a lot from you too. So keep up the good work and keep being an inspiration.
It's been a pleasure talking to you, Diane, talking to Wendy, Angela, Tien Tong, Sophia, and Katie. And of course, all of you who have joined us, really appreciate you allowing your time to sit with us today and listening to these amazing stories. As I put in the chat box there, let's pursue what you want to do in life and make a difference, what you want to do. Enjoy the ride. See you next time in the next EU-ASEAN Youth Talk Show. This is the 4th time. Let's hope I get to see you again on the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 10th, or whatever times. Thank you for joining us. Thank you so much again. See you later.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
thank you. Bye.
So I joined EASA as part of the Junior Aviation program. Through a 2 years mentoring program, we were actually giving the chance to go through different directorates of the agency and to discover the core business of EASA. I actually met amazing people who gave me a lot of inspiration in a variety of domains. And I learned a lot from highly qualified experts who gave me the motivation to progress along my wishes. And I think in the end, I just got great opportunity that I took since the beginning, and I keep learning every day to continue building up my knowledge and experience in this multicultural environment.